This
order
conference will now be recorded.
on Thursday, November 5th, 2020 at 7 p.m. First, my little notice here is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and all parties with rights and or requirements to attend this meeting can be found on the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission website. Pursuant to the open meeting law, all votes will be taken by roll call, and that is for remote participation. So I call it, as I say, call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. The first thing, I will do a roll call of people here. You can just say present. I'm going off a list I have. And this is everybody. Glenn Eaton,
Yes, thank you. I'm here.
Jason Stanton,
Present.
John Hume,
Present.
Barbara Yocum,
Present.
Bob Schwartz,
Present.
Brad Harris,
Present.
George Cahill,
Present.
Guy Corbacero, which is me, present. Ellie Ford,
Present.
Jacqueline Doherty,
Present.
Jacqueline. Okay, very good. Laura Schifrin,
Present.
Linda Quinlivan,
Present.
Matthew Brenner, I'm sorry.
Present.
Mike Smith,
Present.
and Rick Ward.
Present.
Okay, I will, as I call votes, I'll probably be trying to use
Yeah,
that
Roger
order.
was present also.
And
Oh,
Stacy
yeah.
Donahue.
Let's see. Oh, I didn't
And
press my
Scott.
button hard enough. Roger Hoyt,
Yes, present.
Sean Copeland,
Present.
Stacy Donahue,
Present.
Veronica Kelly.
Present.
We have a great turnout, it seems. Fantastic. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of the October 1st, 2020 MRPC minutes. Those are on the website, list of documents. If you have not reviewed them, please take a look at them. And if I don't have any comments in regards to the minutes. If no comments, I'll entertain a motion to accept them as written, but you can always, we can always readjust in the future. And if you make that motion, please say your name.
Bob Schwartz moves to approve the October 1st meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
Mike
Second.
Smith, second.
Okay, very good. Oh, fantastic. Okay, next item is the cash schedule. And I don't know who'd like to read it. Linda or Roger, and if not, Glenn can do it.
I can do it.
Okay, very good. Laura.
I didn't know if we have to have a vote. Do you need a vote on the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Good pickup.
Before
Okay,
I jump in, I thought we did that.
okay, very good. Barbara Yocum, this is on the minutes.
Aye.
Bob Schwartz,
Aye.
Jacqueline Doherty,
Aye.
Laura Schifrin, but I think she already voted. So we get on to Matthew Brennan. Brenner,
Aye.
Mike Smith,
Aye.
um,
Did you hear me, guy?
Roger Hoyt. Yes, I heard you, Mike.
Okay.
Roger Hoyt.
Yes.
Okay, Sean Copeland.
Aye.
Right, Stacy Donahue
Aye.
and Veronica Kelly.
Aye.
And again, if I miss anybody, I'm working off a list here. Please speak up. Okay, very good. Laura, well, now we're on to you with the cash schedule.
Okay, for October 1st, and I'd like to thank Linda for getting that to me beforehand. As you can see, we do have a good amount of money. The opening balance is $384,078.23. There were 16 deposits, including the interest on the account. And so the total receipts were $263,363.95, meaning the cash on hand or before the warrant is $647,442.18, less the amount of the warrant, which is all the cash disbursements of $211,400.57. Balance after this warrant is $436,041.61. And the following is the amount that money is in.
Okay, very good. Do we have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept, subject to audit, and please state your name.
Laura Schifrin, I make a motion to accept the cash schedule dated October 1st through October 31st, or on this meeting date of 11/5, as presented, subject to.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
Brenner, I would second.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and a second. Again, any questions in regards to the cash schedule? If not, I'll call the roll. Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Bob Schwartz,
Aye.
Guy Corvacero, aye. Holly Ford. No, I'm sorry. Jack Doherty.
Aye.
Laura Schifrin.
Aye.
Matthew Brenner.
Aye. Good job.
Thank you. Third time's a charm. Mike,
There you go.
okay, I didn't pick you up, Mike. Did you, aye?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Roger Hoyt,
Aye.
Sean Copeland,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue,
Aye.
and Veronica Kelly.
Aye.
Great, and that is passed, accepted unanimously. Did I miss anybody? No, if not, we will move on to administrative matters. And Glenn Eaton will make presentations on assorted topics. So off to you, Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the first item, 4.1, it's basically the standard monthly update that the office is closed unless people want to make appointments. However, there is something in italics and bold. Please note that the Administrative and Human Resources Director issued the governor's new COVID-19 order number 55 to all MRPC employees, including safety protocols such as wearing of masks, more often while at the office. So we did share that with the staff, I believe the day after the executive order came out. If there aren't any questions or comments on 4.1, I can move on to 4.2.
Don't hear any, please move forward.
Yes, sir. 4.2, update concerning H-48 and Act relative to non-Commonwealth entities within the state employees retirement system. So this is basically the standard update that we are working with the Mass Association of Regional Planning Agencies, and we've engaged a consultant to work on countering H-48. H-48 basically says it's a piece of legislation that's filed by the Massachusetts Board of Retirement to get the regional planning agencies and other entities to pay into the state retirement system in compliance with an old law that the Mass Board of Retirement was not complying with. And when the Mass Board of Retirement, or MBR, was audited back in 12 or 13, it started sending invoices to the regional, about 7 or 8 of us, for which we are not able to pay. Our tally to date, which is as a liability, is slightly over $1 million. So if we pay that bill, which we can't, we go out of business. So we are working with a consultant to file our own legislation to keep us exempt from this and keep this cost in the state budget. That's the gist of that. We're hoping legislation will be filed in January, and that's the last thing I have to say on that update.
Just one question for myself, Glenn. The legislation that has been already filed, are they looking for the money retroactive, or will this be going forward?
Both. The legislation if it passes would look for $1 million from MRPC, about $1,050,000 generally. That's our invoice or bill. The status of H-48, the status of the legislation is that it's not going anywhere. It's not leaving committees, so it's not yet hit any floor in the House. It's not hit the House floor, period. So basically, we're working with our legislators to educate them on this is a disastrous piece of legislation. And so far, they understand, and they're just not advancing the legislation because they know it would just create more problems and more havoc than good. But we are filing legislation, I believe, in January, collectively, the RPAs that are affected by this, to solidify this and keep this in the state's budget.
Okay, very good. Any questions? If not, move on to your next item, Glenn.
Sure, yes, sir. 4.3, Attorney General Grant, or AGO, to the MRPC for Small Business Assistance Grant Program. The gist of this is that this hit the streets in September. We received at least a dozen business grant applications, only one of which was complete. What the businesses are doing is they have filled out the forms that were required, but they didn't fill out they didn't provide attachments, and there are a series of attachments. Ironically, that list of attachments is on the top of the form that they signed. So Holly's helping me get a letter out to the vast majority of the applicants by next Tuesday to inform them that they need to complete their application. So virtually only one entity has actually submitted a complete application. The last sentence there is that the AGO has offered to extend this program to December 31st, and I'm waiting for a written signed extension from the AGO. I know it's coming, but I'm also waiting for the original contract to be signed by the AGO. I know that's coming too, and I'm waiting with anticipation for both documents. So that's the status of the program. We'll be reaching out. We'll be issuing, as long as people fill out their applications completely, we'll be issuing some checks by Thanksgiving. That's the gist of the update on that particular program.
Yeah, any questions? Not hearing any. You can go on, Glenn.
Sure, no problem. This is basically a status of another grant that we prepared in the summer for Community Development Block Grant COVID Response Award for almost $300,000 to 5 communities. They're listed there in the blue in the header of 4.4. Pretty much the status is that we've dealt with the Mass Department of Housing and Community Development, or DHCD, over the past couple of months to file a lot of bureaucratic paperwork. There's a grant agreement that's been signed between Shirley and DHCD. Shirley is the lead community. Holly's helping Holly is doing. I've delegated to her and begged her for her help, and she's just doing a great job converting our AGO, Small Business Assistance app and brochure, to CDBG COVID for these 5 towns to make business grants of up to $10,000 each per business. And we hope to do about 4 business grants of $10,000 each in each of those 5 communities, 4 to 5. There's also another $33,000 that will be dispersed into food banks. I have those contracts between the Shirley as the lead community and the 3 food banks for the towns of Lunenburg, Shirley, and Townsend drafted. I believe they're in good shape. I have to look at them one more time tomorrow and then send them out tomorrow to the town administrator for his review and the 3 food bank operators. This is one of those tasks I've just got to get back onto. I'm trying to do this for 3 weeks. I just got to get it done tomorrow, or I'm not going to sleep this weekend. But this is just pretty much a status. The last thing I'm on the top of the next page, page 4, I'm waiting for the signed contract back from the town administrator of Shirley. That contract, I know it's coming. That's not an issue, but it's under review by town council, and town councils can be very quick or moderate or lengthy in their response. So as soon as Mike McGovern has it back from town council, we'll get it. We'll have a fully executed contract, and that's the status of that particular program. I don't know if there are any questions on that.
Actually, I have a question. Sorry, this is Stacy Donahue from Harvard. The food banks that were listed didn't include Loaves and Fishes and Devon's, which serves Air and Harvard. Is there a reason that wasn't included?
So Shirley is included in there, and Shirley is served by the entity Loaves and Fishes. So Shirley will have a contract between the municipality of Shirley with Loaves and Fishes to deliver food bank assistance to the residents of Shirley under this particular program. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
To further answer your question, the contracts for Lunenburg will be between Shirley and the Lunenburg Lions Club, and between Shirley and in Townsend, the Townsend Ecumenical Outreach Team. Just as the full answer to your requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
In 4.5, I can move on if that's okay. This is a homework assignment for commissioners. So basically, I've planted the seed in at least the last 2 commission meetings, pardon me, that we need to start a strategic planning process. And I think it was September or August, I planted the seed in the handout that we would do this on December 5th. The December meeting is usually a very light meeting as far as intensity of activities and so on. It's usually a good time to kick off a process like this. I'd like to keep it simple, straightforward, using the KISS philosophy. In the middle of this page, I just want to focus your attention, your eyes to, there are 2 sets of 3 bullets. Jason, if you could pan, I guess down or up so they can see both sets of 3 bullets, please, sir. Thank you, that's perfect. So the first set of 3 bullets, I have to go down a little bit. Thank you. So the first set of 3 bullets is elements of the plan, mission statement, assessment of resources, and then goals, objectives, activities. We've all been involved in planning and strategic planning, so generally we'll keep it simple. The second set of 3 bullets is pretty much a report and also some reading for you. These documents are on the website tonight. You can download them if you already haven't done so. The first bullet is a draft of the strategic plan for the Montechusett Enterprise Center, or MEC, which is a private nonprofit affiliate of MRPC. So MEC had its annual meeting and started a strategic planning process on September 25. And the second bullet there is a documentation of a document that's been provided by one of your fellow commissioners, Rebecca Violecki, who comes from the town of Athol, and that is a strategic plan for the North Quadrant Community Coalition Prevention, Addiction, Recovery, and Treatment, or PART Task Force. So that's on the website tonight. And then the third bullet is a strategic plan for the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, or MAPC. There's the URL, and it's also on the website tonight, I believe. So that's a Planning Commission strategic plan. So those are documents that you could take a peek at, depending upon how deeply you want to dive into the strategic planning with the MRPC starting December 5th. I'm basically, I'm going to point you, the first bullet, the draft strategic plan for MEC is an Excel spreadsheet, and it's basically very simple. We're going to just go by a goal, what we think we should do, some implementable objectives, and then action items. So if you take a look at that draft spreadsheet tonight or in the future, that's basically what we want to do in brainstorm. And then from that, we can flesh out some of the narrative through the cold winter nights, and I can take your input and develop some narrative. And ideally, we'd like to do that through the winter so we can be done by the spring, or maybe we can be done in the winter. So that's the gist of 4.5. I would respectfully request that those of you who want to take that deep dive and be involved in the strategic planning process. We'll probably take about an hour at the December 5th meeting. All the staff here are welcome to participate, and the ones that aren't here, I know Linda was out sick today. That's not a problem. And with the commissioner's input and the staff input, it would be great. So I'm looking forward to the input and the process. And thank you. That's all I have for 4.5, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. And as Glenn said, if you take a look at it, if you have any suggestions, ideas, we greatly appreciate. Okay, very good. Move on. Is there any questions in regards to this? No, please move on to 4.6, Glenn.
So thank you. So 4.6, there are 3 separate subsections to this. 2, I'm requesting votes. And on the very bottom of this page 4, you can see those 3. The first one is approve a budget amendment so as to include additional revenue and expenses in the FY21 budget. At the same time, authorizing the management to hire an additional 2.0 full-time equivalent employees to deliver services to clients in light of significant increase in revenue recently awarded to and earned by the MRPC. We will in a moment just go right to the budget, the Excel spreadsheet with Jason, and I'll ask him to pull it up in a minute or two. And we'll go over the budget, but we're going to pause on that. We'll come back to that. We'll stick a pin in that. The second item is an increase request for the annual compensation of Kayla Crest, GIS analyst. A couple months ago, I requested increases to get Sherry Dean, principal planner in transportation, Brian Doherty, principal planner in transportation, up to the minimum market rate on page 4 of our new compensation plan. I overlooked Kayla, and I need to do that. I want to bring her in line with the other 2 to get people up to the minimums. And then in the long term, ideally, the minimums can go up with new salary ranges that I have to write on each job description. That's the gist of that. So those first 2 are going to be a couple of votes. The third item is not a vote, but it's more of a planting the seed of discussion for the future. I will be looking in the future to try to, we need to do a better job of managing to the balance sheet. We have some accruals, some costs that are hitting our balance sheet that are really driving our overhead rate up. I'm not asking for elimination of policies and the addition of another one tonight, but I'll explain later that the comp time accrual and the personal time inclement weather accrual that hit our balance sheet every year increase our overhead rate by 5%. And we need to start eliminating our costs overhead. So I'll come back to that at the end. But if we can go back to the beginning, what I'd like to do is, Jason, if you could scroll down to the next page, it's basically budget update and amendment. So I can hit the highlights of these bullets. I'm not going to read all the syllables. I'm just going to hit the highlights of what's going on. So last week we received an award from Energy and Environmental Affairs of the state of Massachusetts. This grant was written about 6 months ago, just pre-COVID or at the beginning. $98,000 has been awarded, $52K for 21, and another $46K for FY22. The projects you can see listed there. FY21 also we're earning another $38,000 for the administration of the block grant. Hang on just a second. For the administering the block grant for Shirley and the other towns. The third bullet, let's see, we were called, John and his staff delivered a couple of ADA compliance grant preparation, grant applications prepared by him and his staff. A couple of grants were prepared for $500 each, so we earned $1,000. The fourth bullet down, I want to correct a typo. The total revenue, it says the total revenue in FY21 projected for the year is that $, $9 plus or minus million. That should be a 1.9 plus or minus million, just as an FYI. So if you want to make a mental note or make a pen edit on your hard copy. But the bottom line is right now, we have about an additional roughly $180,000 in FY21, or in excess of more than 10%. As our auditor will say, usually every year, RPAs don't earn money until they spend money. What that means is that you have to hire the staff to deliver the service for which you're going to be contracted to deliver the service, so you can bill for the service and bring the money into the account to pay for the staff. It sounds a little bass backwards, you know, in private sector, you open up, you make an investment, you deliver, and then you get paid. So just be aware, those are his words, not mine, but that's basically how it works. So we have an excess of revenue. What that means, bottom line, is we don't have enough bodies. So if the revenue is this hand, and we don't, you know, we have this revenue, but we don't have enough on staff, we have to bring the staff level up to earn the revenue. Joe is going to have a little, you know, a little bit of a gap, so you can earn a little bit of a surplus and put that in your savings account, which we've been doing. The fifth bullet in here, MRPC's hired a senior planner on a part-time basis to help with the workload. And I think it's the last bullet. Yeah, sixth bullet. Management team respectfully requests the hiring of maximum 2 additional 2.0 full-time equivalent persons who would be qualified to deliver the services. These are primarily and solely, I believe, all in the planning and development department, of which John Hume is the director of the department. And then there's a resolution there that says, if you scroll down a bit, be it resolved, commissioners of the MRPC hereby approve, authorize executive director to hire. I'm good on my document, but Jason, you're going to need to pull it down a little bit. We can all see. Thank you, sir. Hire a maximum of 2 additional qualified, experienced full-time equivalent staff, possibly a combination of full and part-time planners, and one or more interns in order to provide sufficient staffing to deliver all contracted services. And before we do that, as a part of this is an acceptance also of the budget, which I'm going to prepare right now. So Jason, if you would pull up the Excel spreadsheet, so because I'm asking the commissioners to approve also the budget as presented. We should make a pen edit in there to that resolution to do so, but I would like to explain what's going on in the budget. I'll hit the highlights. I'm not going to go over every cell and knock everybody to sleep. But Exhibit A, which Jason just pulled up, is the it's all your local assessment money that's paid to the regional planning agency every year. So we get $79,304 for FY21. We use that money to match and leverage other grants to bring more money in. We basically leverage local dollars to bring in more money. On average, the money that we use to leverage from the local cities and towns brings in about $200,000 to $300,000 more each year. Jason, could you scroll down on that spreadsheet just a little bit, please, sir? Let's see the bottom of the button.
If I could interrupt you here for 1 second, Glenn.
Go ahead.
If the members could make sure that they're muted unless they're ready to speak, because we seem to be picking up some interference somewhere.
Thanks,
okay,
Guy.
very good, Glenn.
Jason, could you go up to row like 20 to 30, please, sir, in that range? Sorry. Okay, right there. That's about 19. I just wanted to end there. The balance of the uncommitted LTA dollars is $51,804. So the 79,000 and change minus a few commitments for DLTA and another commitment in there leaves you with an uncommitted local funds. But so what that means, so everybody's aware, is that if a grant came in or we had an opportunity, but they required, well, it's a $300,000 grant, but you got to leverage, 10%. So 30 could be taken out of this with the commissioner's approval to leverage that to get another like $300,000 grant. So that's what that money's used for. Jason, if you could go to Exhibit B, please, sir.
Go to what?
Exhibit B in the spreadsheet. Should be the next tab over or next worksheet over. And that's great. And you can, Jason, you can basically stay there. If you scroll down a little bit, please, sir. I want to get to the, generally speaking, there's a row, which I'm having trouble reading. I think it's row 36, 37, 38 in that area. And there's a figure in column AF. And if you can see it, it's a little blurry. It's about a 1.8 or a $1.9 million figure where Jason's pointing right now. Jason, what's that figure, roughly?
1,890,719.
So it's about 1.9 million. Back to my narrative that I had the little typo in. Okay. So basically those columns in blue, AAAD, AC, AD, AD, and AE. If you look at Jason, could you highlight rows like 25, 26 of those, that blue area, just so people are aware in the blue text and the blue numbers right there? That's great. So that's the money I was referring to earlier. We had a couple of $500 came in. A complete streets plan has been awarded to the MRPC from the town of Sterling. It's about $38,000 to $39,000. The total's above that or below that. It's actually 39 and change, I believe. If my eyes are failing me, I apologize. The column AD says Shirley CDBG-CV. That's the block grant. We're being paid about $38,622 to do that. And then the next column says EEA PAG. That's Energy and Environmental Affairs Planning Assistance Grant. And that should total for $51,000. So the total award there was $98K, $51 for FY21, and then another $48 for FY22. So that's why there's only $51 in FY21. Jason, could you go to Exhibit C, please? And I want to make a highlight here. So this is where all these numbers just focus and come together. So you have here all the line items, the names from salaries way down to office supplies, accounting, and legal. That's basically the names are in column B. Column C is direct salaries. So that's when somebody's charging directly to a DLTA contract, a planner or a GIS person, or Brad's Mass.Work or GK, George Kahali charging to FTA. That's our direct charge. Column D, other direct costs. So that's money that's in a contract that's not salary, but it's for other things. Like you see one that jumps out there is for consultants there, and travel. They're in bold, and advertising. Then you have indirect costs. So everything is in indirect costs is in your overhead, and then everything totals over to column F. Jason, if you'd be so kind to scroll down to, I think, computer equipment. I've got it highlighted in blue. So we had originally an adopted budget of $20,000. We need 35 in there now. We have to add another 15 in there. We need another $10,000 widget, and I'm going to ask Jason to give some background for a minute or two. Jason, take the time you need, because I can't spell computer, and Jason can tell us a little bit more about that to set up our capital investment this year for our computer system. But the gist here is that we had 20, we've incurred less than 20. We have another roughly $10,000 of a need. So a little less than 20 plus another 10's 30, but I'm asking for another 15 to get up to 35, just in case something else pops up. So Jason, do you want to take the bat and the ball from there, please?
Yeah, sure. Our server has needed to be replaced for a while now. It's dating back about a year. And so the first steps that we wanted to do was to migrate our Office 365 from the enterprise cloud to the Gov cloud, which we did. And then we purchased a bunch of laptops for everybody that are going to replace the desktops. We had originally hoped, sort of beyond hope, that we would be able to move our server roles and data into the Office 365 cloud, but for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the sheer number of files that we have, and also cost if we were to do some other type of cloud server. We're not gonna be able to do that, so we are going to be replacing our physical server with another physical server. It's a 5 to 7 year plan with this server. The 10,000 covers the equipment and installation and labor from our IT vendor to get it set up correctly, and then everything will sort of be that's the last piece of the puzzle. Everything will be put in place at that point. We'll roll out all of the laptops to everybody, and we'll be fully functional in a more mobile environment instead of remoting into our machines like we have been doing, which hasn't been working great for everybody. Everything is just going to work seamlessly through the laptop, connecting through our virtual private network. And it'll look and feel very similar to the setup we have now, but we'll be able to work pretty much anywhere in the United States because we are in the government cloud. We can't work from China or New Zealand or wherever. But that's the gist of it. The reason that we're asking for 15 is just in case we need to add another role to our server. We're going to need to purchase additional software. licenses and labor in terms of getting that role back up and running. But I don't think at all that that's going to be necessary. We just wanted to plan for it.
Great, thank you, Jason.
Well said. Jason, could you scroll down a little bit, please, so we can see the tally? I'm looking for that $1.8 million figure again. So it's generally just below your cursor. There's a 1.7, then a 1.9. So basically, again, we have about 1.9 million where we started at the beginning of the year around 1.7. You can see that blue figure, $172,000 and some change there, something that ends in a 5. So that's that issue I was talking about more. I was talking to Guy about 5 o'clock today, and we had a great conversation to prep for the meeting tonight. And he said, okay, well, we've got this, big bucket of money that's come in. Well, realistically, how much of this is COVID and how much of it is new? Over half is the COVID related funding that's come through the federal and state governments to do more planning activities. I haven't broken down a percentage, so I don't want to throw out a number right now. But to give you a couple of examples, we have a $400,000 EDA grant, 200,000, 160,000 of it this fiscal year, and then the other 340 the next fiscal year, and then a little bit in the next one after that. So that's a big chunk of change. But the CDBG COVID grant for Shirley and the 4 towns, that's COVID money. But the planning assistance grant for the 98,000, that was separate. That's what the staff was pursuing anyway. The Complete Streets project, something, a wonderful project between 2 departments, transportation and planning and development, to help the town of Sterling. And some other projects. That's just our normal operating business. And then there's more stuff coming in, which doesn't appear here yet. In the last week, we've had a conversation with Haywood and Health Alliance to do their health needs assessments again, and that's more money that's going to be hitting the budget. So we're just out of balance. Back to that issue, more money. We got to staff up to deliver the services. Jason, if you'd be so kind to go to, we'll conclude D and then E real quick. So D is, what did we call this? Okay, this is a potential revenue. So I just put this together, just updated this. So potential revenue is on row 8, mass vulnerability preparedness. So that was something that I got from the staff that they'll be trying to work with Ashby on something that may or may not happen this fiscal year. Row 15, EDA funds that we'll hopefully be pursuing to do industrial park planning for the region along the exits. The district local technical assistance program. There's a big asterisk next to this one this year. The governor amended his budget around October 14th. He put district local technical assistance in, did a press conference. The lieutenant governor said the importance of a variety of programs, including DLTA. She said it out loud for the first time at a press conference in the 13 years the program's been alive. So that's a very good thing. It shows that we're making an impact on the corner office plus our local communities. So I've put that in as a potential, not as a guarantee, but we will see what happens. If that gets funded this fiscal year 21, then we'll see another $207,000 hit our bank account. And usually it's December or January. So again, I'm just getting back to the need to put on staff. Jason, we can conclude the budget presentation if you hit tab E, please. And that's the salaries. So if you look in, there's red there, and I apologize for using red because red in finance is negative, but it's not. So row 23, so that's where I hung the 18,000 for the senior part-time planner. There's a request to raise Kayla's salary by $160 to get her up to minimum. That's another motion that follows this presentation. So I put the extra $160 in there also. And I think those were the 2 adjustments that I needed financially, other than I just cleaned up some names of some people in here. Jason, you can, unless there are questions, we can leave the spreadsheet and go back to the handout. And the last thing I will say is that I mentioned earlier, I neglected to put a few words in the resolution. That it should be it resolved that the commissioners approve of the budget as presented and authorize the ED to hire 2.0 FTE to ramp up and to keep planning and keep writing grants and keep bringing money into the area, especially in this day and age of COVID. Thank you. I'm sorry that was long, but thank you.
Okay, very good. Do we want to go to the first resolution again that Glenn mentioned? Actually, I will read the resolution, then I'll go for motions, and then we can go for discussion. Be it resolved that the commissioners, the MRPC, approve the budget. Is that what I heard you say, Glenn? And approve the budget and authorize the executive director to hire a maximum of 2 additional qualified and experienced full-time equivalent FTE staff, possibly a combination of full and part-time planners and 1 or more interns, in order to provide sufficient staffing to deliver all contracted services. So that is the resolution. Would anybody like to move that?
So moved. This is Jackie.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
Bob Schwartz, second.
Okay, very good. Now, any questions of Glenn, of the budget, of these hiring of people, or anything to do with this resolution?
Roger Hoyt.
I guess. Okay,
Yeah,
Roger.
Yes, Roger Hoyt. Glenn, I know we ask this question, I guess, every time we have a staff increase of sustainability of the position for at least the next year after this.
Yeah, so it always comes up. The reality is that in this business, you know, you can sustain yourself as long as the people that are hired bring in money to sustain their positions. And that's just the reality of the business. When in the interviews, for example, with the ED manager, we all know it's very clear from the federal government that the Economic Development Administration has provided $400,000 grants to about 8 or 10 RPAs in Massachusetts that are all federally designated economic development districts. That's $400,000 for 2 years, $200,000 a year, and that it stops, subject to further appropriation. So no one knows if that's going to be, that's CARES Act money, FYI. So no one knows if that money is going to be replenished. And so coincidentally, just had a meeting today with Chris McDermott, our new ED manager, and with John Hume, his supervisor. And I mentioned that again. I said, you know, Chris, we all know that this is a 2-year gig, and that, you know, you won't have a job unless you sing for your supper. I mean, we said this around, I don't know, this meeting was around 2:30 today. So that's the reality. You know, if people keep bringing in more money like they've been doing lately, then, you know, we'll have even more staff. But, you know, just no one knows. So people have to sustain their positions. If they don't bring in the revenue, then we have to reduce the workforce. It's just that simple. There is something I am considering also, and I'll plant the seed now. We've done in the past a lot of block grant programming, and that's a good program. But do we keep chasing our tail with that program? Because there's a lot of administrative effort that goes into that world of community development block grant, that if we didn't do that work in the future, and I'm having this conversation internally, I'm happy to have it publicly. If we didn't do that, we applied our resources somewhere else, could we be more self-sustaining with some other resources? So it's time for some new thinking.
Hey, any more questions? If not, I will call the vote on the resolution. When I call your name, please say aye or nay. Barbara Yocum.
Barbara Yocum, aye.
Bob Schwartz.
Bob Schwartz, aye.
Guy Corbacero, aye. Jacqueline Doherty.
Jacqueline Doherty, aye.
Laura Schifrin. Laura?
Yes, I'm sorry. Laura Schifrin, aye.
Okay, very good. Maribel Cruz.
Good evening, aye.
Okay, Matthew Brenner.
Aye.
Mike Smith. Mike, I think you're muted.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Phil Duffy, welcome.
I choose to abstain, having entered the meeting while this item was being discussed.
Okay, very good. Roger Hoyt,
Roger Hoyt, aye.
Sean Copeland,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue,
Aye.
and Veronica Kell.
Aye.
Okay, very good. I think that is everybody. Did I miss anybody? If not, the resolution passes unanimously. Okay, very good. Item 2 on this is request for the increase in annual compensation of Kayla Crest. Glenn has spoken a bit to this. If you want to maybe elaborate a little more, Glenn, or just go to the resolution?
The gist is, I would just please ask you to go to the resolution unless you have questions. We're trying to bring everybody up to the minimum column in that page. That's on the top of page 6. That's a snapshot right out of the compensation plan. And if you look at the second column in, it says minimums. So we're trying to land her into where it says row 16, JS analyst. She's just below that. This is more about principle than it is about money. It's only $160. But I'm trying to get everybody up to the minimums, and that's the gist of the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. I will read that resolution then. Be it resolved that the commissioners of the MRPC hereby authorize the increase in the annual salary of Kayla Crest, GSI and analyst, to be annually compensated at $49,600 current with the new compensation plan. Do I have a motion to move this forward?
Laura
Jackie
Schifrin,
Doherty. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Laura Schifrin, so moved.
Okay, Laura moved it. Do I have a second?
Jackie will second.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any discussion on this?
I'm at 30.
What's that? I'm sorry, Mike?
No.
Okay, never mind. Okay, very good. Then if not, I'll call the roll. Barbara Yocum,
Barbara Yocum, aye.
Bob Schwartz,
Bob Schwartz, aye.
let's see, Guy Carvacero, aye. Jacqueline Doherty,
Jacqueline Doherty, aye.
Laura Schifrin,
Laura Schifrin, aye.
Maribel Cruz,
Maribel Cruz, aye.
Matthew Brenner,
Aye.
Mike Smith,
Aye.
Bill Duffy,
Aye.
Roger Hoyt,
Roger Hoyt, aye.
Sean Copeland,
Aye.
and Veronica Kell,
Aye.
and Stacy Donahue. Sorry, I skipped over you, Stacy.
That's okay. Aye.
Okay, very good. The resolution is passed unanimously. Now, actually, we have another item here, 3, for informational purposes. Could you speak to this, Glenn?
Yes,
Thanks for your
and
time.
yes. So the bottom of page 6 through the middle of page 9 is documentation that the MRPC has within its personnel policies, compensatory time policy and a personal leave policy. Personal leave is for inclement weather and also for bereavement. If you want to go right down to the bottom of page 9, this is really where the...
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, somebody's got to mute.
Can I just put out another reminder that if you're not actively speaking, please mute your microphone because we're getting a lot of feedback from somebody. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you,
So-
Jason.
Yeah, so at the bottom of page 9, we talk about the subject accruals. Basically what this means is the gist of this is that if people are earning comp time, we have to track comp time, and that has a dollar value. That dollar value is captured in the annual audit. If people take personal time for inclement weather, we have a snow day policy basically. So if people are taking through basically the winter season, personal time for inclement weather, snow days, that has a dollar value. That accrues also. The Linda Quinlivan, fiscal manager, and Linda Parmenter, our human resources director, have been working, just many hours over the past many months to prepare for the FY20 audit. Really, for the first time, they've exercised the fiscal software, and they've used it in such a way that they can actually estimate. So Linda, make sure I say the word estimate, Linda Quinlivan. Estimate an overhead rate for FY20, the year that ended, the fiscal year ended on June 30 of this past summer. Usually we don't have, first of all, this needs to be said, first of all, we don't usually have an idea of our overhead rate for the last fiscal year until the February-March window. When we get an audit report, Roland Lambelotte, our CPA, comes out and he says, this is your audit for last year. We're 9 months into the year. So this is I just want to give a lot of credit to the Lindas. They did a great job in using the software for a wonderful purpose of estimating overhead. This is valuable. This is invaluable to have this data. But item A on the bottom of page 9 says, they're estimating the overhead rate to be about 1.322 or about 143%. Item B, our average overhead rate for the last 21 years is about 1.25 or 125%. Jason, if you want to go to the top of page 10, please, to show CDE. The accruals, I mentioned, I opened with the accruals. The end of year balance for comp time accruals is almost $17,000. The personal time is almost $12,000, totaling almost 30 grand. The 30 grand is captured within the total indirect costs there in item C of $811,000 and change. I'm just going to jump down to column item E, where basically that shows how the overhead rate, I couldn't find the word, is calculated. There's a lot of math in the next couple of paragraphs that basically said what I said a little bit earlier, that about 5% of the overhead, the 143%, are these two things. Now, all things being equal, if you went back to FY20 and before FY20 started, if you didn't have comp time and you didn't have personal time for snow days, instead of having about 143% overhead, you'd be down to a 138. So the 138 would only be about 13 percentage points above your average of 125. But we're about 18 points or almost 20 points above our seasonal average, about 21-year average. And that's basically what all that math says near the top of that following page 10. There are other RPAs that don't have comp time. Basically, you work your time within your 37.5 hours per week or within your biweekly payroll of 75 hours per week. What's in italics for the next three bullets there, and Jason, I don't know where you are. Jason, you need to be on page 10. And I know you're scrolling down, thanks. No, keep going.
Sorry, I can't see very well because I'm sharing the screen.
I'm sorry, Jay. So I should have looked on. I was looking over here at my handout, not yours. So we just did the bottom of 9. You can go to the top and to the middle of page 10. Okay, great. So there's a lot of math. That's what I was just talking about, a lot of math. You can stop right there. Thank you, Jason. So what's in italics there is the comp time policy for the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. It states its office hours. It says that all exempt to full-time employees, which is the vast majority of people on the MRPC payroll, they work a certain number of hours, 7.5 per day for 5 days a week. And that they work their 37.5. So they don't accrue the comp time, and this doesn't hit their overhead rate. And that's the reality. We have a higher overhead rate for multiple reasons. Last year, we didn't have as much block grant money coming in. We ended a block grant early. We had some time charges that would have went to block grant, but they went to admin. We had a one-time consultant cost to hire a salary consultant. We don't have that this particular year. We have these accruals. We went to outsource some of our IT, and I think that's a good thing, but that's in our overhead rate. But the reality is that, if you want to do raises, but you have these accruals, you only have so much money in the total bucket to give. So I'm not asking for the bottom line is Jason, if you want to scroll down to kind of sort of the bottom of that page 10. So I talk about comp time policy recommendations. I would recommend that in the near future and well before the end of this fiscal year, we eliminate comp time accrual. We eliminate the comp time policy we have, and we basically adopt something that looks like CMRPCs. Subject to some more research, we need to look at other comp time policies, but eliminate the comp time and insert a policy that we have would be similar to the CMRPCs. The benefit, well, there are really two benefits: enable us to eliminate negative financial impact on the agency's overhead rate, but allow us to have more cash in the system, bluntly, to reward people for doing good work when we want to do raises. I mean, we're getting to the point where we have people with higher salaries. We earn leave time at a higher rate. It creates a burden on the overhead rate and in the balance sheet, and we don't have enough cash and we're stymied. $28,000 roughly in comp and personal accruals is almost exactly equivalent to the $30,000 to $35,000 that you need to do for raises every year. So the bottom line here is something's got to give. Let's see, at the bottom of that page, it says personal time, inclement weather policy recommendation. We can, the experiment of people working at home is working. And right now, we could eliminate the personal inclement weather part of the policy. But right now, if we did that, people would have to take leave time. They'd have to take vacation time. But I don't want to do that to people. If they have to, they have to. But I don't want to do that but we don't have a work at home policy legitimately in the personnel policies. So if we eliminate the inclement weather or the snow day policy, I call it, but we'd have to insert something that allows people to work at home on a snow day, if you will, and earn their regular time, not take vacation time. So I don't think that's such a bad trade-off. The benefits on the next page, Jason, if you'd be so kind, the top of 11. Benefits are similar. Basically, we eliminate the negative impact on the overhead rate and allow people to, not have to dip into vacation time on a snow day. If we're going to we are set up now to work at home with better tech that we agreed a year ago to acquire, and we're enhancing tonight with a better file server. Allow people to work at home for these snow days only. Now, the next leap is, some people might be thinking, well, Glenn, are you thinking about a work at home policy, outside of snow days? Thinking about it, not in the context of this yet, but it's in my brain for consideration. And I think management team, all the department heads and the admin people need to talk about that, hash that out. But for at very least, if we eliminate personal time for inclement weather, insert a work at home for those snow days, and then get rid of the comp time accrual. And the reality, folks, is I remember going to a financial training. This is the last thing I'll say on this issue. We're not looking for a vote. This is information. Financial training back in 2012 in Austin, Texas for GMS. And we're the only state that has comp time. It's something that came out of Prop 2.5. The reality is that salaried people are expected to work until their job is done. That's the reality. But we have this, we have comp and we have snow days. Something's got to give, and these are ways to better manage to the balance sheet and maybe make some money available for raises that we struggle finding right now. So this is very, very important. Again, this is FYI. Something's going to be coming soon when Linda's and I and the managers do more research on, what's the best thing to do. But this is coming. So I can see a proposal no later than the January meeting, at the outside the February meeting, to enact these eliminations and one addition. That's all I have for that. More of an FYI. If people have questions, great. If not, you're going to hear more in the future.
I have a question. During this year of COVID, mostly they've been working at home, are you finding that you've saved money at all? I mean, I'm not understanding how this year might still have the same expenses?
Well, our expenses are primarily salary and what's in the overhead, as you saw on the budget exhibit B or C. We still have we have about $1 million in salary right now out of about $1.8 million or $1.7 million or $1.9 million, whatever that number is. 10% of that million is all the insurances, so you're up to $1.2 million. The rent didn't go down. We're still have electricity bills and heating. There aren't any areas that we've cut because we haven't had anywhere that you can cut. Just because we're working remotely, we still have the same expenses. We're not a manufacturing operation where we shut the shop down and we eliminated payroll and then we laid everybody off. We're still working.
So, and in that there isn't any, well, there obviously haven't been any conferences or travel or, and I'm not looking at a line budget, obviously.
Not much was budgeted this year for that, honestly. The only conference I can think of, somebody attended, I think, a New England Regional Planners Conference remotely. So there was the 50 or the $250 for attendance, whatever that, it was a nominal amount, but there wasn't any travel or lodging involved. I know John Hume prepared a paper for the Kansas City Brownfields Conference that was supposed to be in April. That's pushed out to October next year, even if it happens then. But that won't hit this fiscal year, and that would be a direct charge to the EPA budget, not in the overhead. So in travel, there's been a reduction, sure, because we're not going to have face-to-face meetings much anymore. I think even in my case, I think I've had 3 site visits in Athol in the last 2 months and nothing for the previous 4 or 5. So this, but travel at about a half a dollar per mile, you're saving small thousands of dollars. So technically, yeah, there is a savings in travel and some conference stuff, but there wasn't a lot there. But it's still salary, it's insurance, it's overhead. That's there that you have to pay whether you're working in a one address at 464 Abbott Ave in Leominster or whether you're working at 17 different addresses.
Does this policy change depending upon the level that the employee is at, or is it across the board for these things?
The comp time policy and the personal time policy, it doesn't change. I don't know what level you're talking about. I'm sorry.
I mean, level as in like at your level versus the person that's at an entry level, for example.
So at my level, if I go to a 2-hour meeting it's a legitimate meeting that I go to for work, I can earn 2 hours of comp time on my timesheet. If let's say I take a junior planner or a regional entry level planner, that person is earning 2 hours of comp time. The difference is I'm earning comp time at my hourly rate that versus an entry level planner who's been there for a year and I've been there for 21 years. So there are different hourly rates involved. So that would be a different variation in the algebra and the math.
And so everyone that's working is on a timesheet then?
Yes, yeah, we have time cards. Yes, exactly. And those individual meetings, those 2 hours, let's say, I'll pick on one of the newest regional planners, Jonathan Voss. So let's say he has a meeting every week for 52 weeks in a row, every Wednesday for 2 hours somewhere. So he'll accrue 104 hours in comp time. So the comp time policy says he can accrue a certain amount, but he can't carry any more than 20 over from year to year. And he has to take, that comp time within each fiscal year and so on. But as far as it being, it's tracked, and it goes into those numbers, those comp time accrual numbers, that $16,000 or $18,000 figure above. That's the math when everybody's comp time that people have accrued kind of in the system that's been banked, if you will, for lack of a better explanation. Yeah, that's that number. Yeah, it's like vacation. Exactly. There would be a vacation balance, and when you take everybody's vacation balance individually and you add up all the numbers, I don't know what the vacation balance is right now. I don't want to know. But people after 20 years here, you get 6 weeks of vacation time.
Yeah.
Do we limit that? Do we go back to 5 for new employees after we adopt a policy? To me, when we have to make some structural changes here. to
Yeah.
be more sustaining. Back to Roger's question of 15 or 20 minutes ago.
So in those meetings, like if you go to a meeting, that's an off-site meeting usually, it's not like a meeting, an in-house meeting, right? Or is this where you go to?
Normally, it is feasible where staff could earn comp time at a meeting that would happen on our site, outside of the hours, where meeting is held, at 7 o'clock at, the Montechusett Joint Transportation Committee, as an example, it meets at 7 or 6:30 or 6 pre-COVID. Staff going to that meeting earn comp time, even though it's on our address, on our property. But that's a legitimate use of earning of comp time, sure. But most of them, the vast majority, are going to a city or a town hall in your facilities, in your communities. And that's where I think the majority of comp time hours probably start to build up. That's a good question. Good questions, period.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Can I ask another question? So, for example, all of the staff that's here tonight and on this meeting, this is not within their regular hourly work week, so they get comp time for tonight.
This is the exception. MRPC meetings, staff attending MRPC meetings, the monthly board of directors meetings or commissioners meetings, we do not earn comp time for attending these meetings. The only person that will be the person that's taking the minutes. In the past, it's been Linda Parmenter. We're transitioning that to Holly Ford. So Holly will be earning comp time tonight specifically, but there is in the comp time, it's actually up there in the document, in the comp time policy that we put into the public record tonight. If you want to read that later, it's in there where it says if you're attending a commission meeting, you do not earn comp time. But if you go to a joint transportation committee meeting, if it's after hours, what are our office hours? 8 to 5. Brad, could you chime in? I thought I saw your face. Maybe he's not there, but there he is. I see the beard.
Yeah.
When do you meet now, Brad?
We now meet at 2:30.
Now, but pre-COVID, didn't you go to 6:30 or 7 or 6 or something?
Pre-COVID, we were meeting at 6:30. A long time ago, we first started with meeting at 7. Then we moved up to 6:30, and now we've gone to 2:30.
Right. Thank you, Brad.
Yep.
So, Glenn, this is Sean Cole from AIR. I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly here. So it's saying that you're expected to work 5 days a week, 7.5 hours. But so if we were using an after hours meeting like this as an example, not necessarily this one, but where you're working, way past 5 o'clock, instead of earning comp time that would be on the books as a financial aspect, are you then like another day this week, you just would have a later work day as long as you're working 7.5 hours or the total of at least 37.5 hours? Or as a salaried person, are you just expected to work those several extra hours?
So basically what we would do is we would be human and considerate about it and adopt what CMRPC does. So let's say it's a Monday night meeting and somebody worked 2 hours and over their 7.5 for that particular day, Monday. They have to do 7.5, they did 9.5. They could, with the approval of the supervisor, it's just that simple, come in late Tuesday morning for 2 hours. Maybe take a 2 hour, maybe it's December 20th and somebody like me hasn't bought his wife a gift for Christmas yet. Take a long lunch on the Tuesday. Take the Tuesday afternoon off. Take the Friday for 2 hours. As long as you can fit the 37.5 in the week, in the Monday through Friday, and the 7.5 within each day, okay? Apologies for the hands, it's the French Canadian in me, but I think that I want to use that to help illustrate, you still have to, do the 7.5 and the 37.5, and then for the 2 weeks, the 75, but work it out with your supervisor where you're saying, okay, boss, it's Thursday at the end, and I'm going to have, typically I'd have 30 hours, but I have a Thursday night meeting. I'm going to end up with 34 by Thursday night. I owe you 37.5, so that's 4 hours, instead of a 7.5 hour day on Friday, can I be off from noon to 4? I have an 8 to 4 day, let's say. Enjoy your Friday afternoon, right? That's cool. But I don't want to get to the point where we say, hey boss, you know what? I'd like to work 12 hours a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 36 and make, you know, maybe 12 and maybe 13 hours, do my 37 and a half and have every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. No. And that's why the CMRPC wrote, I mean, this is an old 20-year-old, 30-year-old policy. 37 and a half, the 75, the 37 and a half, and the 7.5 per day. Work it out with your supervisor. But if we can get away from the accrual, that pulls it away from that darn overhead thing. So we can just better manage it and get back to that sustainability issue. That's so vitally important.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your question. That was great.
Just one more question. Is that the same across the board with all planning boards? I mean, is that consistent with the meeting policy that it's, you know, with overtime? I mean, does everywhere have the same?
All the planning commissions? I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you if I had 13 planning commissions comp time policies in front of me, and not all of them have comp time, like they don't at CMRPC, but they have this 3-sentence, this is when you work. I don't know is the short answer, because I need all 13 policies in front of me to answer your question. So I'm not sure. I only know that comp time really grew out of Prop 2.5 when, you know, the municipalities and MMA and said, look, well, we're not going to pay overtime for the DPW anymore. We got to give them something. So Massachusetts invented comp time. It does not exist anywhere else in the United States.
Because it's something, you know, for monetary reasons. I mean, it's an incentive,
Sure.
and a quote unquote luxury, if you will. But it's something to consider.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
in the real world.
Yeah.
In the
real world, this doesn't happen.
So to speak. Yeah. So I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be mean, because I mean, I've been in jobs where we did have comp time, but
Sure.
it becomes unsustainable.
Over a long time. I mean, you know, there are a certain number of us who are of a certain age who may or may not be looking at retirement within the next few years, give or take. And I'm just trying to cloud it because I don't know anybody's plans, and I'm still trying to figure out mine. But, you know, we have some people that have been here from 21 to 37 years at the top, and we earn very good salaries. We really do. And you know what? You know, how long can you sustain every benefit that you have in here? And that's why I hinted at the vacation time issue. You know, we get 6 weeks after 20 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you know what? When you know, honestly, it's my job to balance everything, and I'm trying to find the right balance of everything, because, you know, bluntly, especially now, I got to tell you, everybody on the payroll, you know, people deserve to be rewarded for their good effort. And at the same time, then you have these structural problems, systemic problems, that you have these threats. I mean, you know, one year we had an overhead rate of 150 or 149.9%, and you just can't do that. Now, over every year, 21 years, 125, you know, that's reasonable. I'd like to push it down to 100 or 98, but we can't do it unless we make some of these types
Changes.
of decisions going forward. Yeah, we really do. And that's it. Again, I didn't think there'd be so much robust conversation tonight. I planted the seed. So something's coming. You all know what it is, and I want everyone's input on this. But we've got to make some changes for sustainability of the organization long term. We really do.
Change is tough.
Change is hard, but without change, sometimes then an organization can croak itself, and we can't have that, because that's the worst. That's the worst. These, you know, the communities deserve an entity that's thriving and can provide a service. And the employees deserve to be rewarded for doing hard work and good work that we do. And I tell you, you know, this is a great team, and I want to see them get rewarded. But there are some things that we're going to have to do to have a little come to Jesus meeting with ourselves and say, you know, we got to make these changes. So soon.
All right, thank
soon.
you.
Thank you all for the great questions.
Anybody, if nobody else has any questions, we'll move on to 4.7.
This may or may not go fast. I will try to make it fast. The bottom line is that we hired a consultant. We hired James Gray, principal of compensation and HR group out of Burlington, Mass. What you see there on the bottom of page 11 is out of his introduction. So Jason, you might want to scroll down to the bottom of page 11, sir, if you'd be so kind. And the compensation report, you saw a snapshot of it when we talked about Kayla Kress, and that was a snapshot of one page of a table. And that was, to me, one of the most, not the only, but one of the most critical tables in the whole report, where it said, look, there's a minimum and a median and a maximum to pay people. And based on the funding that's available, try to get people at least to the minimum. And then if you can go to the medium, you can go to the maximum. I see us never getting into the maximum for all of those or any of those positions. We'll see. I don't think so, but we'll see. Time will tell. But basically, we have this report, and it says a lot of good things. And basically, it says, look, this report's based on market data, and there's a resolution in here that says, be it resolved, MRPC. There's 3 bullets on the top of page 12. Adopts the comp plan to go into effect July 1, 21, beginning of next fiscal year. And then the second bullet directs the management team. In other words, I wrote this to have you vote to tell me and my fellow management team to make every effort to bring all qualifying employees' salaries in line with the current market conditions and recommended minimum ranges, which is section 3, page 6. That's that snapshot of that table that's above in the handout, identified within the name of the report there, 2020 compensation program report, funding allowing. Funding allowing is very important. You always have to put that in there. It's not an out for managers to say no, but you have to have the money to do things. That's just the reality. And the third bullet, you're directing staff to obtain internal or external assistance to update the salaries. In other words, do the market research again, no later than the end of fiscal 23. So you should do that every 3 years. And this is a vote that puts on my radar screen, and then if its vote gets passed, this goes on my whiteboard. It's like, okay, Eaton, you only got 30 months left. You only got 24 months left. We have to do this, and it always needs to be, ideally get the data and pay people the market rate. People work very hard here. They should be paid, at least the market rate, and that's just appropriate. And that's really it. That's the requested vote to adopt this plan once and for all, so we can move forward.
Okay, very good. Actually, I'll read the resolution and then we can move it and then have a little more discussion if anybody wants to. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission adopts a compensation plan to go into effect July 1st, 2021 at the beginning of FY21, directs the management team to make every attempt to bring all qualified employees' salaries into line with the current market conditions and recommend minimum wage. Section 3, page 6, at least identified within the 2020 compensation program report, funding allowing, and will obtain internal or external assistance to update the salaries of all positions no later than the end of FY23. I'd entertain a motion to move this resolution, and then we can discuss it. Anybody?
Barbara Yocum, so moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and a second. I just want to point out one thing here. I was looking over it, and it seems like right now we're probably at the 90% of market. If you take an average. Now, if you want to go on and say anything more on this compensation program, go ahead, Glenn.
I really don't have anything more to say, Mr. Chairman. I will trust your math because it's been a long day, and thank you.
Figures here. Do we have any questions from anybody? Okay, and not hearing any, seeing any, I'll call the roll. Barbara Yocum,
Barbara Yocum, aye.
Bob Schwartz,
Bob Schwartz, aye.
Guy Corbacero, myself, aye. Jacqueline Doherty,
Jacqueline Doherty, aye.
Laura Schifrin,
Laura Schifrin, aye.
Maribel Cruz,
Maribel Cruz, aye.
Matthew Brenner,
Aye.
Mike Smith. Oops.
Aye. Aye.
Phil Duffy.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Roger Hoyt.
Roger Hoyt, aye.
Ron Copeland.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue,
Aye.
Veronica Kell,
Aye.
and the resolutions passed unanimously. Okay, very good. Do you have anything more to add, Glenn, on your report?
No, I think
That's the
we're
end.
all sick of hearing my voice tonight, so status reports would be a welcome change, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. So I'll move on to the status report. Now, as we've done in the past and we'll do tonight, is I will read off headers. If anybody has any questions, just speak right up or tell me to stop or hold or whatever you feel just to get my attention. Okay, very good. The status report, section 5.1, geographic information system. We have Mr. Mapper and mobile apps, and also staff, if you have any comments that you'd like to make. Community related, we have the Athol Groundwater Protection Overlay District map, Crocker Pound Recreation Area Trail mapping, Harvard Special Zoning map, Lunenburg Conservation Land mapping, Templeton Cemetery, Winchendon zoning maps update. If not, we go on to the heading comprehensive planning related. ADA compliance checklist survey creation, Fitchburg COVID dashboard and data visualization, Athol Exchange Street abutters mapping, Harvard bailout analysis, Lancaster Village Center Overlay District, Shirley Affordable Housing Production Plan, Sterling Housing Production Plan Implementation, Sterling Transportation Master Plan Chapter, Townsend Chapter 43D Feasibility Study, Westminster Open Space and Recreation Plan Update. No questions on that section. We go to transportation related. Freight corridor analysis, local ADA transition plan development, pavement management systems, popular bike routes comment app, regional bike and ped plan, trail data application. Nothing in there. We go on again to transit related, Shirley Station commuter parking. And that finishes up that section. If there's no comment, we go on to 5.2, planning and development. Comprehensive Planning Division, Federal Economic Development Administration, EDA, Federal Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Massachusetts Regional Brownfield Assessment Program, Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, District Local Technical Assistance, DLTA, and that lists all the programs and the MRPC staff is working on. I'll go through Athol, Air, Harvard, Hubbardston, Lancaster, Lunenburg, Petersham, Shirley, Sterling, Townsend, Westminster, and that finishes up that area. Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, DOER. All these fun acronyms. Nothing there. Air ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. Contracts Health Aging Tufts Momentum Fund. Then going back to MEC, Health Aging Tufts Fund. That's the $75,000 grant to help the non-age friendly communities. Then we go on to, and that's one of John Hume's projects, Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Mass DOT More Rides Planning Project. Again, John Hume. Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Mass DOT Winchendon Volunteer Drive Planning Projects. Again, John Hume and staff. Mass Department of Energy Resources, DOER, Affordable Access Regional Coordination, AARC. Oh, you got Sharon Chapman there. Then we go on to Community Development Division. Massachusetts Enterprise Center, Inc. Glenn has already touched on that. Go on to 5.4 transit. Listing again, the MRPC staff is working on the following projects. Support of the 3C, Littleton, Devens, Shirley, Air, public meeting staff, technical assistance to the MART, Air Depot Square pedestrian plaza, Shirley Station commuter parking, Athlone shuttle, Gardner, Wachusett shuttle, Worcester community shuttle, MART comprehensive regional transit plan update 2020, and MART advisory board, MART operation managers meeting, bus route performance evaluation. And those again are all George Cahale's area. And then if nothing there, we go on to 5.5, transportation. MRPC staff is working on the following projects. Support of the 3C, Littleton, Denver, Fitchburg, Shirley, Air, public meetings, technical assistance to the MART, Air Depot, Shirley Station commuter parking, Athlone shuttle, Gardner Wachusett shuttle, MART comprehensive regional transportation plan update, MART operations managers meeting. Sounds like I've said that. Bus stop ADA accessible evaluation. Then we move on, if nothing there, transportation. Massachusetts Joint Transportation Committee, MJTC, information on that, but they did not meet in October. Then we go to Massachusetts Metro Planning Organization, information on their meeting on Wednesday, October 21st. And then again, the Unified Planning Work Program, FFY 2021. And then support of 3C, development of TIP. Information on that, GIS mapping and analysis. Data collection and analysis program. Pavement management systems. Freight corridor analysis. Performance measures. Travel by tourism. Climate change program. Regional bike and ped plan. Local ADA transportation plan development. And the last item on that list is trail and data application. If no questions on everything there, we come to item 6, which is new business. Is there any business that anybody wants to bring in front of the board, or do you have, or anybody in staff want to bring? Glenn?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. But if the staff has anything, please, this is a great time.
Yes, or if anybody the members have anything, this is the time to bring it up, because we are pretty well at the end.
Can I just mention, I don't know if people have been paying attention to, what's going to happen with the commuter rail, for example, and some of the cuts they're talking about, and how that will affect some of the projects. I mean, like, for example, all the upgrades they just did for Air and Shirley and some of the commuter rail parking lots. And now, because of the work from home and COVID, there's been a lot of people that haven't been traveling anymore to go into Boston every day. Myself being one of them. I used to take the train every day from I live in Athol, so I would go either from Wachusett to Boston every day. So now, I mean, they're talking about some significant cuts, at least in the Fitchburg line, because it's not one of the most used lines. So I didn't know if anybody had heard anything about that in relation to this committee.
There are going to be some public meetings talking about these cuts, but it is not for this winter. They're talking about something in the spring. They already have the new schedule for the winter. which start November 2nd. And that schedule has more trains than before COVID. But Mart has 5 parking garages, and all of them empty since March. Nobody using the commuter train to go to Boston. Nobody parking in the garages. They are empty.
That's big revenue too.
I know, big loss, but they do have the fund from the CARE Act. This is how they are paying themselves from the CARE Act fund. And also the ridership on the buses, it is 50% down. The commuter trains, as numbers we got from MBTA, they are operating on only 12% of their capacity, taking the trains to Boston from all over. Only 12%.
Sad.
Is very bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to do something. And this is.
No, I mean, I miss it. Yeah. No, I miss.
We can send you the information of the public meetings. It's going to be virtual. We can send the information to everybody to attend and learn what they're going to be doing next year.
Thank you. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good idea, George. Thank you for about sending it out so we can listen in. Any other questions? If not, I will call this meeting adjourned at 8:32. I want to thank everybody for coming because we've had a great turnout and better than in person. Thank you. So this meeting is adjourned at 8:32.
Good night.
Good night.
Everyone, thank you.
Well, that got weird. Is anybody still here? It appears there was an issue with the GoToMeeting servers because it sounds like everybody got bumped off at the same time. I'll keep this alive for a little while until people can join back in, I guess. Something weird happened at the end. Did he end the meeting, question mark?